Bienvenue à la web diffusion. N'hésitez pas à poser vos questions lors de la présentation en les inscrivant dans l'espace prévu à cet effet. Ainsi, nous pourrons y répondre à la fin de la présentation. Nous vous souhaitons une bonne web diffusion.
Have a great broadcasting over the web. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Digital Education Day. This is the first 100% virtual edition. I am Annick Gilbert. I am a French teacher at Cardinal Roy High School for regular students. I am very fortunate here today to be at the Octet, which is the technology lab at the Centre de Service Scolaire de la Capitale. Don't worry, all of these sanitary measures are strictly respected. Some are wondering, who is this unknown person? Well, please be aware that I'm quite active in this pedagogical world for several years now. But let me tell you that many years ago, computers were beige. I remember this were many years ago. So why am I such an anonymous person? I don't tweet messages. This might explain it all, right? So welcome, everybody. We are Friday, November 13th, and it's been exactly 8 months since Friday, March 13th, that the face of our profession has been totally transformed, changed. Of course, a shift comes with many challenges, and I'm thinking about many teachers around me, my friends, Melanie, Jolie, my cousin, Marie-Ève, who now have to juggle with the implementation of an intensive English program. They have to provide music classes, and with first-year toddlers that are not really ready for that and have to face many challenges. I also think of all my colleagues who were using computers only for emails and word processing, and now they have to teach online classes with a hybrid formula. I'm sure that you have dozens of similar examples in line. I wish to say that in the world of education, we have done such a colossal amount of work in the last 8 months. I admire you and I want to recognize you. Now, change means that we have to exit our comfort zone. This helps us to evolve, and so there are also some advantages, and I'm going to focus on this. Yes, this COVID-19 pandemic has brought many challenges, but if we take a step back, we can clearly say that many innovative projects, many new working methods have seen the light in the last few months, and this is what we're going to celebrate as well and put under the spot. Now, our first 100% virtual edition allows us to offer more training to people more than ever before. We are now 5,500 teachers, education professionals gathered today at this virtual event. Everybody is there in order to learn more about how we can better use the digital tools in pedagogy. Let's remember today that we should not forget to connect, first of all, to the human beings behind those screens, those monitors. Welcome, everybody. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce my colleague and host for today, Brian St. Louis. He's a press relations officer at the communication department of the Ministry of Education. Hello, Brian. Hello, Annick. Well, I'm extremely happy to be with you today, of course. So we are going to start this day without further ado. As you have seen, we have a very loaded agenda. We are going to start with two guests, the Minister of Education, Mr. Jean-François Roberge, and his colleague, Minister in charge of Governmental Digital Transformation, Mr. Eric Kerr. Good morning, gentlemen. We're going to have a discussion today. Mr. Roberge, the programming of this first edition, 100% virtual edition event is rich in content this year. It's also extremely relevant in the context of COVID-19, which affect us all. Could you tell us about your vision of this event and how and why it is important? Let me tell you that this has become a necessity. This Digital Education Day is very much needed. There are many schools and school boards that have been preparing for this event for a while now. So I'm very happy that people are participating and that they're going to take this opportunity to learn. As you've said, there are thousands of people attending. This is an exceptional event. This shows that we have opportunities as well as challenges. We already had some digital education days in the past, but not with so many participants. So if you have to be there in person, this is a bigger challenge. Now, with this virtual event, we have a greater number of participants. I want to stress that there are people and Francophone, Anglophone, First Nations, school boards participants that are at this event attending. We are extremely happy that you are here today. And of course, the digital is going to become more prevalent every day. And those people around this virtual table are aware of this. Everybody is a key player. And I think that today's event allows us to um, use tools, applications, software in the best way possible. We can see things better. This allows us to also further our skill knowledge in digital tools. Sometimes we have to start learning things if we are technically challenged a little bit, and sometimes we can dig deeper into these technological digital opportunities. So really, that's how I see today's event, and it's an important event. Yes, Mr. Kerr, what about the big challenges connected to the digital transformation for our society, and how is the government going to face these challenges? I think that Jean-Francois has already mentioned that the biggest challenge of all is to start learning about digital matters, developing digital skills. And digital tools are going to bring us as far as we want to go, as far as we are able to go. Let me tell you that right now, we have technologies which are available and we can go quite far in this digital world. And it's also important, Ms. Gilbert has mentioned this before, we have to stay connected on human beings first. Digital tools are there to serve people and not the opposite. It's very important for us to continue developing the skills of people. We also need to keep developing a cyber hygiene. This might come with some challenges for our students, and there are some digital traps as well. Unfortunately, this is not a perfect universe. And in that sense, I think that the world of education has an extremely important role to play because first we have to start learning, we have to develop these skills. So first of all, we have to develop our skill. And if you allow me to share a comment here, it will also be important to make our girls aware of these digital tools. Right now, 11% of the positions in the digital world are occupied by women. This is not enough. This is a shame. We cannot build a digital world without 50% of the population being involved. In that sense, the role of education will also have a role to play in order to make sure that our young girls will have to start learning and discovering the digital world very early to own it as well. We need to have this gender balance in the digital world, and without adding too much pressure, I think that the education network has a role to play. I'm looking at my screen. In majority, I see mostly women that are participants. So I hope that this message is going to go far and wide. Yes, there is prevention regarding women. So there are also models. We need models for the digital world. And so we need to have models at school. And there is the message. And all of this is going to change the digital world and active participation in this field, right? Mr. Roberge, the pandemic has allowed us to change our practices in the digital world. As you've said, this is only a beginning. And how do you see the future challenges? How do you see the future challenges? Yes, there are indeed some opportunities. We are quite positive. And also there are challenges. There are challenges. So it's quite normal that we want to explore this digital world and we want to try many things. And also we have to be careful about these educational modes. So before the digital world, there are practices. The interpreter, sorry, but there are some little sound glitches. So when there are marketing tools from one company to the other, we have to be careful. We have to be careful and look at the efficiency of some practices. We have to test them. We also have, so if we see after a few months that the tool that we're using, the software that we are using is not the best one in terms of techno pedagogy so that we can go forward. So let me tell you that this might be a danger. So there is the danger of losing ourselves in the face in front of the numerous offers that we receive. Sometimes we don't know which web to visit, what is the source of information we have to tap into. It's also true in the digital world. There are so many companies, so many things that are available now. We have to see what's relevant. This is why the government is there to help us out. And also it's the same in school boards, and we have people to support us. And we have these challenges. We are in negotiations now, and we want to have people that we can trust, teachers that are pedagogical leaders, people that are going to support teachers as well in the face of these challenges. And we also want to develop other types of digital literacy. Sometimes we want to do more of what we like, of what we prefer. And we really have to develop a part of our digital skills while we neglect other aspects. So I invite all of you to use these interactive tools of diagnosis of our digital skills in order to focus on our strengths, but also working on our weaknesses. The interpreter apologizes. The sound is cutting sometimes. Oh, did you hear the end of my sentence? It seems that we've just missed the end of your sentence. Let me take 1 second to say that I think that it's important to develop 12 dimensions of digital skills. There are 12 dimensions. The danger is if you focus only on what you like. One of these skills is to keep improving all of the aspects. So we really have to focus on all of the different skills of digital skills, and you can use the tool that we have developed, which is an interactive tool. Yes, so we see that this digital experience is being developed across schools and school boards. Thank you, Mr. Kerr. Often we've heard about incidents related to the use of the digital world. We have been talking about the involvement of girls, of women, but what about the youth? Are they vigilant enough to make sure they can face safely the challenges of the digital world? Let me tell you that unfortunately, the answer is no. The digital world has been developing very quickly, extremely quickly. And I believe that our young people have started integrating the digital reality very quickly into their daily lives. I have myself children. Sometimes I'm under the impression that their cell phone is an extension of their hand. So when we ask them to close their cell phone or their tablet, it's as if we were cutting a limb in their body. So we understand that for them now, this is a way to communicate, a way to interact, a way to socialize, but they have not developed this peripheral vision that comes along with a universe that is not devoid of danger. So parents, people of my own generation or maybe younger, sometimes we have not developed these digital skills, so it's difficult for us to teach our children what we don't master ourselves. And I had the opportunity to say it last year. I think that these digital skills that were proposed by the education department also wish to teach what we call cyber hygiene. There are some behaviors in the digital world which are not so different from regular life. We cannot we say our children don't speak to people that you don't know, don't jump into a car that you don't know, that type of thing. Be careful. It's the same kind of traps in this virtual world that we face. We need to be aware. We have to be prudent. This is something that can be taught. Parents as well as the educational world has some type of collective responsibility to make sure that our children are going to develop protective reflexes in this type of universe. The idea here is not to forbid something. It's not to say, don't do this. This is a no. No, we just want to use these tools in the right and safe manner. We need to know where lie the traps, how do malintended, malevolent people might want to use these tools so that we can then fully use the potential of the digital world without the disadvantages. Contrary to the real world, the digital traps have a scope which is much bigger. If a picture is published on the internet, it's not like a regular picture. The whole planet will have access to that. So the traps are the same and the impacts are there. The interpreter apologizes, but the sound cuts here in the booth for the interpreters. So so we need to have some respectful behavior in the digital world, just like in the regular world. So there are dangers. So there are so many possibilities on the digital world. And so there are so many possibilities. What can we say about these possibilities? So if you think about the augmented reality, the only thing we can do in terms of pedagogy So the more we develop our digital perspectives, the better we can detect them. So technology is available, and we're not talking about the future. We're talking about what we can do today. There are possibilities which are infinite and that go as far as our imagination. So it's a matter of integrating this and to consider this. And sometimes Jean-François was talking about not so we have to avoid some traps of appearance, and we really have to be on the lookout of what's being done. So I think that this really goes with what should be the educational network. It's a matter of curiosity. We have to see, we have to never reject something. We have to see if there is a functionality, if there is some interest, something that can be brought and used. This is what the digital world is about. We have so many possibilities, and the limit is our imagination. So this is a challenge. We're going to talk a lot about this today. Mr. Robert, one last question. So if I quote a book which is called L'École de demain, the school of tomorrow, which ones are the future avenues that are going to open up in this digital world for the schools? What is your answer? Well, the avenues are huge. The opportunities are immense. We have been talking a lot because of this current context. We have been talking about distance learning. I understand the interest of this, opportunities of this. I understand them. I think that the digital world has to be used, especially in order to connect people together, in order to allow people to learn at their own rhythm, at their own speed, with tools that they can understand, that they own. It seems that in the digital world, there are lots of opportunities to support vulnerable students, those in the need. So the interconnection between teachers and students, learners between different classes. So many years ago, we wanted to ask students to write letters to other students in France, in other schools. But now think about it. Today we can connect students in different schools in a much easier way. So there is some pedagogical plus value. There is a, a huge amount of motivation which is possible to deploy for teachers and students. Teachers can discover something new, new tools. They can see what are the positive impacts on their class, in their classroom, and what, even though there were some 4 or 5 students that had some challenges, digital tools allow us to use new tools, new ways of teaching. I think that in the digital world, we also have new opportunities to develop other skills. Digital just for the sake of digital is not enough. I think that the digital world allows teachers to develop the overall skills. And by the way, um, very soon the government is going to publish a new tool, which is this reference for teaching. The digital world will be part of this. It can also be an engine, a driver in order to develop all the other skills. So we have been talking about potential dangers, potential traps, but there are also many advantages. And we can also potentially meet better the specific needs of students. Thank you very much, Mr. Kerr. Thank you, Mr. Roberts, for your participation in this digital education conference. And now I'm going to give the floor to Anik, and you please have a great day. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Brian. And before moving on to the next block, I would like to start by explaining how we're going to proceed for today and how this platform works. At the bottom of your page, you will see the agenda for today with all of the workshops and conferences. To access a training room, simply click on the desired box, but please wait before clicking. Don't do like my students. I'm not done yet. So because this is a live event, you will be able to switch between 4 different training rooms, but only according to the agenda. So watch the hours. Now, if you want to get in touch with trainers, teachers, facilitators, it's quite simple. Just ask your question in the box right under the video. And also, if there are technical glitches, please use the question module under the video box or click on the help icon at the bottom of the page if there are problems. Now that you are an expert about this platform, we are going to take a short 1-minute break and we come back